And so you see the severe repercussions throughout his foreign policy, throughout his domestic policy, whether it's, wanting a flat black paint for his, quote, wall that would cost $1 million more per mile than, a normal paint, and he's, in that la-la land. Or it's sending his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, over to Ukraine to investigate just smorgasbord of conspiracy theories all thrown together that Hillary's server actually is in Ukraine and that he's going to get to the bottom of that. You look at all the government resources that are being wasted that could be used to prevent actual crime and actual criminality in the United States and abroad. It could be used to prevent election fraud. It could be used for so many different things that are valid purposes for our national security. But instead, it's just more la-la land. And really, this summer marked even more of a decline in Donald Trump, and I think that's what we're seeing kind of the peak of right now.
Joe, to your point, I don't think there's anyone around this table or anyone watching at home who thinks whether President Trump is impeached or if he's not reelected, that he will go quietly. And so that's the context in which you hear this coup talk and you hear this civil war talk. Yeah. What will the president do, really, if he's not reelected, if he's impeached? I remember sitting here in this studio on Election Day 2016, and we had Don Jr. on the show, and we had to ask the question, will your father respect the results of this election if he in fact loses? And he said, yeah, of course he will. We didn't have to find out the answer to that because President Trump won, of course. But there are real concerns about what happens the day after if President Trump is impeached or if he loses his re-election bid, because this is a president unlike any other. George W. Bush won't talk about President Obama. President Obama's been relatively quiet about President Trump. Do you really think President Trump is going to go away and be quiet? No way.
He won't go quietly into that dark night. No doubt about that. I do think that the institutions will hold. I still remain very optimistic about that, probably more optimistic than others, certainly more optimistic than my wife. But I do believe that that will happen. But what you're seeing right now, though, is not just the corroding of trust towards the presidency and damage on the presidency that's going to take years to replace, but also other cabinet agencies, other cabinet heads, other people who have always understood that their responsibility is to the American people first. And then you see a clip like this of Mike Pompeo lying through his teeth to reporters on ABC and then at the United Nations. Take a look at this clip.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump pressed the president of Ukraine 8 times to work with Rudy Giuliani to investigate Joe Biden's son. What do you know about those conversations?
So you just gave me a report about a high-seek whistleblower campaign, none of which I've seen.
Are you confident that none of your staff, that you or none of your staff did anything improper in this whole situation? Thank you.
So, Matt, I haven't had a chance to actually read the whistleblower complaint yet. I read the first couple of paragraphs and then got busy today. But I'll ultimately get a chance to see it. If I understand it right, it's from someone who had secondhand knowledge. To the best of my knowledge, and from what I've seen so far, each of the actions that were undertaken by State Department officials was entirely appropriate.
Mike Barnicle, that guy went to West Point.
My Lord.
That guy went to West Point. What a thug. He's acting like a common thug. He's lying about our country. He was in on a call that he knows crossed every line of propriety, that he was taught that at West Point. And he's behaving like a thug. Now he's behaving like a thug in trying to basically tell Congress that he can do whatever he wants to do and not to reach out to anybody at the State Department. It's as if he's adopted Donald Trump's view of the Constitution, that the Second Amendment gives the executive branch unlimited power. Let me say it again. This guy went to West Point. He knows better, and he's acting like a common criminal. He's acting like a thug. He's lying through his teeth. He's shaming himself. He's shaming State Department employees, and he's shaming the United States of America.
Well, that
he has no excuse.
That first clip, Joe, with Martha, in which he garbles his response and seems struck by surprise at the question, all you can think of is duty, honor, country. West Point. That's the oath he took upon graduation, and he was there. Is a simple answer to that question is, I was on the call. The president did nothing wrong. He's had that opportunity several times prior to being caught in this, but he did not and has not done it.
Mike, do you remember early on he was throwing Rudy Giuliani under the bus? And everybody was putting out, leaking to the press, said, oh, Pompeo didn't know anything about this. It was Giuliani acting on his own, and that's when poor Rudy, all confused and dazed late at night, held up his cell phone on a show and said, I got the text. Look at these texts.
Oh, my God.
And so then Volcker gets fired. I mean, he's been scrambling and trying to cover up. I mean, I don't know that it's possible, but he's actually made this administration look even worse with his lies.
Joe, you know, Richard Haas has a great book, A World in Disarray, that we've talked about here many, many times. The book could actually be retitled A Nation in Disarray. And sadly, it's our nation because we have constitutional officers, the Attorney General of the United States, the Secretary of State of the United States behaving badly, perhaps even corruptly in this instance. And the government is led by a verbal arsonist who takes to the field each and every day, inciting people and inflaming an already volatile situation. These are sad times.
And I will say, Mika, I know Donald Trump is causing extraordinary damage to this republic.
Yes.
To our constitutional norms, to our political norms, just to the way everybody treats each other. I mean, my gosh, yesterday Jimmy Carter turned 95. What a good man. Whether I agreed with him politically or not on so many things, a good man. How we need a good man like that in the White House again.
Yep.
Sometime soon. But, you know, Donald Trump is ignorant of the Constitution. He is ignorant of history. He is ignorant of the political norms that have shaped this great republic for the past 240 years. Mike Pompeo, though, he studied it.
Yeah.
He understands it. He knows it. And yet he is willfully, every day of his life, in pursuit of power, corrupting that. And he is undercutting everything that he was taught at West Point. It